100 years before the American Revolution, poor farmers, black and white, rose up together, burned the capital of Virginia to the ground, and threatened to overthrow the colonial elite. In response, America didn't just crush the rebellion. It invented race-based slavery to make sure it never happened again. In the 1670s, Virginia wasn't a land of freedom. It was a place of hunger, disease, and desperation. Most laborers weren't enslaved Africans yet. They were indentured servants, poor Englishmen, Irishmen, and Africans who sold years of their life for a chance at land or liberty. They worked side by side in the tobacco fields, whipped by overseers, fed little more than corn mush, dying like flies. After surviving their contracts, they expected land, but they got nothing. The rich owned the coast. The poor were pushed inland, into conflict with native peoples, and into hopeless poverty. Nathaniel Bacon was no poor man. He was a young aristocrat, cousin to the governor's wife, freshly arrived from England. But ambition burned hotter than blood. When native tribes attacked frontier settlements, Bacon demanded permission to retaliate. Governor Berkeley refused, partly to protect the lucrative fur trade he controlled. Bacon saw his chance. He blamed the governor. He painted himself a hero of the common man, and the desperate followed. Long before Nathaniel Bacon arrived, Virginia was a colony on the edge of collapse. For the ruling elite, profits from tobacco exports and native land speculation flowed freely. But for the poor, black and white alike, freedom was a broken promise. Indentured servants finished their years of labor expecting land. Instead, they were forced westward, on to disputed frontier lands claimed and defended by native tribes. Hunger, violence, and betrayal festered. And when those tribes resisted colonial encroachment, as any sovereign people would, it was the poor who paid in blood. Nathaniel Bacon was not one of them. He was wealthy, connected, cousin by marriage to Governor William Berkeley. But in Virginia, privilege alone didn't guarantee power. Denied a seat at the highest tables, Bacon saw an opportunity in the colony's discontent. He railed against Berkeley's corruption, claiming the governor had abandoned settlers to native attacks in exchange for fur trading profits. Bacon didn't raise an army overnight. The spark was already there. As Berkeley refused to protect frontier settlements, local militias formed to defend themselves. These weren't professional soldiers. They were farmers, hunters, debtors, and freedmen. And when Bacon arrived in the West, they listened. He promised what the governor would not: land, protection, and vengeance. His message spread through taverns, outposts, and word of mouth. Town by town, anger turned into organization. Bacon defied Berkeley and marched without permission. When the governor tried to arrest him, settlers rallied to his defense. They didn't just join him, they crowned him their leader. What began as a few dozen militiamen became a rebellion of hundreds, including some who had nothing to lose but their chains. And with a growing army of the poor behind him, Bacon turned his sights on the heart of colonial power. By mid-1676, Bacon's forces, now hundreds strong, launched a full-scale insurrection. They called themselves volunteers, but they moved like an army. They attacked native villages indiscriminately, often slaughtering peaceful tribes as well as those who had fought settlers. The line between defense and vengeance blurred and then vanished. Governor Berkeley declared Bacon a traitor. Bacon responded by storming Jamestown. In September, Bacon and his men surrounded the capital. They demanded political reforms, protection from native attacks, and land. When they were denied, they set the city on fire. Jamestown, the seat of English colonial power in America, burned to ash. Among the rebels were indentured servants, freedmen, and landless laborers, white, black, and possibly even a few native allies. They were united by desperation, not ideology, but for a moment, solidarity burned brighter than skin color. They shared food, fought together, buried their dead side by side, and for the colonial elite, that was more dangerous than the fire itself. When Bacon died suddenly of dysentery, the rebellion crumbled, but the fear it ignited among the ruling class would reshape America for centuries to come. Bacon died of dysentery that October. The rebellion collapsed soon after. The colonial government, backed by English troops, executed over 20 of Bacon's followers. But the elite didn't stop with the gallows. They rewrote the laws. Black people could now be enslaved for life. White servants would serve fixed terms and receive small rewards. New laws banned interracial gatherings, marriages, even friendships. They had seen the danger of solidarity, so they divided the poor by skin color and offered whiteness as a consolation prize for poverty. Bacon's rebellion is rarely taught in schools, but it was a turning point. It marks the beginning of institutional racism in America, not as an accident, but as a tool. The elite feared an uprising of the many against the few, so they invented a system where the poor would turn on each other instead, a system still alive today. The story of Bacon's rebellion is not about one man. It's about a moment when America almost chose unity, and the brutal lengths power will go to make sure that never happens again. If you believe stories like this deserve to be remembered, help us tell more. Subscribe to Obscura Historica, like the video, and share it, so this history doesn't stay buried.